Yes. So I open the forum for any reflection.
Yes, sir, Kalyan sir.
Yes, ma'am.
What I understood from this that from the negative emotion there will be two perceptions. Like if I have seen somewhere the fire broke out, and I have seen that there are a lot of destruction due to that fire and lot of lives were lost. So it I will create the imaginary image in my psychological domain, and it will create the sensation. So when every time whenever I see the fire, it will increase my belief and the fear increases. So sir, is it possible like this? And the second thing may be like that, if a child if he has not experienced the hotness of fire or anything about the fire, but whenever the child goes near the fire, parents say, don't go there, you will burn there, you will burn, the fire will burn you, you will get burned, you will get burned. Every time he gets that comment, so he will create the image in his mind, psychological domain, and this will create the sensation. So every time whenever he sees the fire, it will create fear in him. So, sir, these two things happen in the negative emotions.
Yes. So
Okay. And
the
sir,
very premise
uh,
of this particular happening is the absence of inquiry and absence of recognizing the fact of moment. That particular experience of fire is one fact which may not repeat. This is a fact, right? The experience of burning may not repeat if the fire is handled tactfully. That's also a fact. So while considering fire as a fearful thing, these all possibilities have been ignored completely. And it has been concluded that fire means burning.
okay. Sir, it means we should not conclude about it, but we should inquire. It may also possible that next time if it is handled precautionary, then it is not the fearful fact. It may be our कि हम but every time it may not be fearful.
ये fearful का तो सवाल ही नहीं है. Every time
Every time it may not be
the
destructive
burning,
like this.
yeah, burning may not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact also. If we just look around, then we'll see that effective use of fire is there
This is. So
around
I
us.
am not getting positive emotions for a side.
Negative emotion वाला, positive वाला.
The negative I got it, but about positive.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी. तो पॉजिटिव में क्या है, ये जो सक्सेस का उसने एक परिभाषा बनाया. He has defined success as something, if one walks on the fire, then that is a success. ये जो सक्सेस की परिभाषा है, ये परिभाषा में प्रॉब्लम है. उसमें क्या है, वो इंसान इल्यूजन में जी रहा है और एक डिनायल के साथ जी रहा है. वो समझ रहा है कि वो सक्सेसफुल है. वो सोच रहा है, बल्कि सॉरी, समझ नहीं रहा, सोच रहा है जब वो सक्सेसफुल है, बट एक्चुअली सक्सेस करके तो ऐसा कुछ होता ही नहीं नेचर में. वो उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन है. उस इंटरप्रिटेशन को वो सच मान के चल रहा है और जिंदगी भर चल रहा है, और लोगों को वो हिदायत भी दे रहा है जे इसी तरह सक्सेसफुल बनो. ये समझ रहे हो क्या?
So, sir, it means here also we concluded कि fire walking on fire means success.
Is a success. That conclusion.
Okay.
And which is absolutely unnatural. उसीलिए पॉजिटिव जो है ना, वो मुखौटे में नेगेटिव है एक्चुअली, और बल्कि बड़ा और भी ज्यादा टोल है. तो
okay sir,
या शालिनी.
I want to ask. Yes, Shalinee.
हाँ,
Yeah,
शालिनी.
go ahead. Yeah. Shall I speak?
हाँ, प्लीज शालिनी.
Sir, it means that in any process which creates positive emotion is useless because it's away from reality. But I come from a creative field. I'm a singer. I'm a classical singer. So lots goes into putting a song when you're singing from heart.
Yeah.
So entirely being into negative. Okay, when the mood is required, when there's a sad song, we can get into. I make people cry with my singing. That kind of level I'm trying to achieve. I'm kind
And
of
that's
achieved.
a success that you consider, right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm like, it gives me better connect with people whom I'm singing for.
Mhm.
So you mean that anything which creates positive emotion is useless. One has to be in reality all the time.
I would request you not to take it as an opinion. We are trying to understand the impact of energy, nothing beyond that. You know,
Okay.
so if we have that creation of emotion, then what is the state of energy? We are trying to understand that. So we are not going ahead in using of the term useless or useful, which
Okay.
which looks like opinions, right? So even if it exists in my life, I must be able to see the fact of it. That's the proposal. If I'm in denial, for example, this looking at the laptop for a day long is strenuous for the eyes. That's a fact. Just because Kalyan is doing so, if Kalyan starts claiming that it's absolutely fine, it's natural thing to look at the laptop and continues the sessions. That's very denial of the facts, right?
Right.
So even if I am creating some so-called positive emotion, what is the impact of that on my energy? Let's try and understand at this moment. After that, let's
gives
see.
happiness all the time, huh? That positive emotions. I mean, positive thinking, I'm not really pro of.
Yeah.
Because
So
one
can we
go on
question
fooling.
the very definition of happiness? You know,
When
can
is
you
happy
question
with
that?
being whatever one is born with. I mean, like accepted.
So happy is
Is celebrating whatever one is born with.
conventionally a state of happiness is an achievement of an image in the mind created by the individual. Conventionally, happiness is considered is achievement of an image.
I don't think that way. I mean, just
Okay.
being
Okay.
myself is
Yeah.
enough for me. I mean, like
Right. Right. So
that
even if
creates a lot of
if you
happiness.
are not able to make the people cry with your singing, then also you are happy.
Yeah, of course, I'm
Right.
happy.
So
I mean, I'm
you're
sometimes not singing for good crowd.
Right. So you are happy. Your happiness is not connected to a specific act. That's what you're saying, right?
But that, I mean, like if
It's a
I'm able
natural
to,
state of being. It's a natural state of being. That's what you're proposing.
but what I don't understand is why generating positive emotion from whatever ways and means one can go like it can be it can be like you said that it's a depleting loop.
Yeah.
So how can it be depleting loop when it's a positive
Because
emotion?
it is actually establishing an illusion as a truth.
We'll all live in illusion.
Yes. We live in a depleting
And
world.
we need to. I mean, reality sometimes is very tough.
We need to, that could be questioned, that could be inquired. But yes, that's a fact that again, that most of us, we live in a illusion. But that
Prefer to.
do not,
Prefer to the,
yeah.
sorry,
Yes.
Kalyanji. Alexia,
Yes,
we
Alex.
prefer to,
Thank you, sir.
we prefer to opt to live in an illusion because that's more comfortable.
I would love to question that as well, because it may be a state of depleted energy which doesn't allow us to look beyond. That's our inability energy wise, which actually restrict us to look beyond. It's not that it's very, we are suicidal design wise. And that's why we like to fool ourselves with illusions. It's a merely state of depleted energy, which actually restricts us to look beyond and see the things as is.
So, sir,
Yeah.
everything should cease on physiological sensation level, as per you. And
No,
nothing should move forward.
We are not at all going ahead with the should and should not terminologies.
I mean,
These
then only
narratives are
that,
not there. These
then only
narratives
the,
are not there.
then
Yeah.
only psychological perception won't be created. I mean, if you don't move forward.
Yes.
Kalanji, I want to ask one thing here.
Yes, Mike.
So there is a perception, and I observe that the perception, the psychological perception, always created with the help of thoughts. And if I question the thought itself, it is a kind of language which I have learned from the childhood, whatever language I speak, whether English, Hindi, or any
You
other
mean the
language.
questioning? You mean the questioning?
The questioning, not the questioning, the perception itself. The it created in the form of thought, right? What is perception? Like fire, as you given the example of fire.
No,
So,
perception could be a dynamic perception, as I think someone asked, Rohit asked at that point in time, that it could be a piece of information. It's a memory.
It's a memory, but in the form of thoughts, right?
No, it may not be. It may not be. That's what. If it is a dynamic, and recognizing, okay, last time I had this particular experience I had last time. And I am looking forward to the next piece of experience. I'm open to see the next set of experience, and I'm not concluding what is going to come. So that means you have that piece of information in your mind. It is there. It is a dent in the brain that is there as an information. But that is not concluded as a sensation in the body. That next time also, that means what happens, what is the sensation aspect? If you conclude the next experience in the mind, that means you are creating an image and believing that this particular outcome is going to come.
But that conclusion is in the form of thought or language, right? Yes,
that conclusion is the thought. Otherwise, it is thinking, which is a dynamic process. So the perception could be two types. One is the dynamic, another is the stagnated. The dynamic perception is thinking, which is an ongoing process and receiving the information as is. And the stagnated perception becomes a thought and becomes a burden on the energy. So now see, we all have multiple occurrences of thoughts and these burdens, these loops that we are going to discuss now, that conflicting order or the sequence is everyday experience. We, as Shalini mentioned, that we live in illusions. Yeah, that's a fact. But this becomes far more overloading if we are in denial and consider that this illusion is the truth. If we are not recognizing the illusion as illusion, then it is biggest of the illusions, perhaps.
See, Kalyanji, just to add to that, see, as that singer lady, I think her name was Shalini, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So she was saying, isn't it better to be in that particular, we need to live in certain illusion because reality is more painful or bitterful or whatever. So just add some line on that. And what happens if you buy into that kind of a thought?
You want to add, or you want me to?
No, my question, aapka thought, because see what she was saying, I think most of us buy into it also, or we kind of, the tendency is to buy into that. That is, sometimes it is, the realities are difficult to deal with. Better to be in some kind of a illusion. I mean, better. It's much easier to be on a, for example, let's say if you're attending a personality development course, the kind of happiness that you get from a personality development course on a Saturday and Sunday could be far better, or going for a movie which makes you happier or related is far better than attending a course like what you are doing right now.
Okay.
So how do we convince ourselves, or what to look at, so that we understand it is better to be with the reality than to be with
See, first of
state.
all, attending this workshop, if you start considering this is a special thing, it's a life changer, then that's an illusion itself.
Agreed.
Right? So whatsoever it may be, this workshop or that workshop or whatsoever it may be, it's just one of the moments of life. Nothing special about it. Every moment is unique, but the specialties are illusion. The first illusion that hits us is considering anything as special, whatsoever.
Special status.
Yes, that's a psychological perception, that P3. The speciality is an imagination. Uniqueness is a fact. It's a physical fact that every moment is unique, every entity is unique. That's a fact. Do we understand the difference between the special and unique?
Absolutely.
Right. So that specialty, the moment we succumb to considering something as special, we actually start creating this flux. Yes, Shreya want to say something. Yeah.
So this special thing is basically the choices that we are making, like we are choosing something over other, and we are thinking it's a special
opinions, whatsoever the name, the term, the language that we may
and
use.
the conclusion thing is also this only, that we are concluding that this is better than this.
Yeah, so those are the conclusions only, the choices, the opinions, the favoritism, all these are the conclusions that we make, and that happens within the body at the sensation level, because conclusion cannot happen in the perception alone.
Yeah,
It's
for example, we can say that we are chosen by God to be here, and therefore
So there are multiple conclusions here. The God itself is a conclusion. Then chosen, we are chosen, that's a conclusion, that's a specialty in us. So all these aspects,
So being unique is different from, or this instance is being.
We all are unique. We all are unique.
And this instance also is unique. At this point in time.
Yes.
We are here. It's also a unique thing. But then when we start giving it godly, God has brought me here, and therefore I am blessed. And therefore creating further stories behind it, or perceptions behind it, or belief systems on supporting this as a thought.
Yeah.
Therefore the problems will start. Therefore the energy innovation.
Yeah, that is the illusion.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Any conclusion that we make is a form of illusion, isn't it? Like, what's your understanding?
Kalyanji, is it not the language itself is creating the problem? Do you see it like this?
Yeah, language, if it is concluded in the mind, the language, if it is concluded in the mind, then it will keep on creating the flux.
That we are calling judgmental.
Yes.
If a person who does not know anything, like he didn't learn any language, so how can he conclude then? Then he is similar to the kind of animal who just basically act on the P2 level.
See, the inquiry is actually, if you go deep into the understanding of inquiry, then inquiry is languageless. It's not a list of questions. It's a state of questioning. It's a state of questioning. So whether you learned a language or don't, the inquiry is irrespective of that. We are designed to inquire. Right. So it's not very much dependent upon the status of learned language or not. Inquiry is independent of it, and we all are designed to inquire.
So Kalyan, one question.
Yes.
you are telling that inquiry is a very infinity. I mean, there should not be any end of inquiry, right? That should be our attitude.
That's not should be as such, but that is what is the design. That is what is the design of us, like of any organism for that matter. Not concluding the things and keep exploring. What it means, like we are not concluding means we are exploring, keep exploring the things. That very knack of exploration is the inquiry.
Kalyanji, one
It-
thing.
Yes, yes.
That like choice is a problem. Like we are choosing things good, bad, like that. So, but choice is required at every step, like because the way our life is conducted, every point we are choosing things and then we are moving ahead.
Yeah, so there is a difference between selection and choice. There's a difference between selection and choice. Selection is a physical aspect. So if somebody is leading a choiceless life, then also you'll see that that individual has got many things in his or her life, which may be from a bystander's point of view, which may be considered as choices of that individual. But those are just selections of life. It's not sticking in the psychological domain. The choices are the stickiness in the psychological domain. So when we start considering that choiceless life means going to the jungle and staying, these all are the another level of illusion that we put on ourselves. It's not that, because P2 and P3 are something which is absolutely personal of yours. I cannot sense your sensation, you cannot sense my sensation. I cannot perceive your perception, you cannot perceive my perception. So that's P2 and P3, operations of P2 and P3 is very personal. Whether you have a choice or not, that you only can sense. Are you able to comprehend this?
Yeah, little
So
bit.
selection is something physical, which may appear like a choice, but what is your internal processing, that's the key here.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see the illustration. So from a psychological perception P3, there is a sensation. Now, when there is a sensation, what happens? We actually bring the perception back, making it stronger. So this particular aspect becomes a flux, because the same perception will, by nature, becoming stronger, will bring stronger sensation, and a fear becomes phobia that way. Right? A small anger becomes a volcano. You know, so this is the state of being. Now the story doesn't end here. The story doesn't end in this particular flux. This becomes a vortex. This becomes a flux, going on and on and on that way. Now, how it runs? This runs definitely with my energy. This runs with my energy, my effort, because I am putting an effort to make it convincing. Like, this is a piece of guava. This is very easy to consider this as a guava. Now, this is a piece of guava. Now, this becomes a very effort. If you consider this as a guava, how much energy that you have to put? You see, you have to create the complete guava out of nothing. There's nothing, but you are considering that this is a guava. This is that loop. This loop is that particular loop, where it is nothing. The P3 is just considered it's just considered as an image. And the framework of fear, anger, frustration, depression, fantasy, everything is this. This is the framework. Now, the story doesn't end here. What happens in this particular state of being, if suppose I execute an action. I execute an action. So first of all, I am in a state of depleted energy. So to act, I'm left with very limited energy. So it will be underperforming act. So so-called failure is obvious. Most of the cases. There could be one or odd cases where there could be success. How that success can be possible in the state of depleted energy? By stimulating energy from other sources of the life. So we will extract, this is like a coffee impact, you know. Coffee is a stimulant. How it works? It's a high toxin. The moment it is introduced in the system is alerted and start acting upon it. Bringing the energy from other areas of life, compromising those all ongoing processes. The complete focus comes here. So at the surface, one experience and energy stimulated. So the same way, the success may happen. And that success or failure, in both the cases, it will bring justification or excuse. When we fail, we give excuses, give reasons. So that means the P3 is coming from P1. It's a reverse, again, conflicting order, reverse order. Normally P3 brings P1. Now P1 is bringing P3. That means you have to explain each of every action. You take the responsibility of explaining your action, give justification of your action. If it is failure, you give excuses. If it is a success, so-called, then you justify it. See, hard work is very much important. You start proposing hard works.
Sir, this is a little deep. Can you just repeat this?
The last one? So
the P1 to P3.
Yes. So
in context of, let us say, walking the fire.
So walking the fire, in many cases, you will not be able to walk. Then you will justify your non-performance. ये ऐसा तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. ये ऐसे ही मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर ऐसे ही हमें धोखा दे रहे हैं. ये सब कन्फ्लिक्ट आ जाएगा. और अगर आप वॉक कर गए तो आप बोलेंगे जो इसी तरह सक्सेस मिलता है लाइफ में. At the first place, this is unnatural. वो हमें दिख ही नहीं रहा. In both the cases, ये हम देखने के लिए तैयारी नहीं है क्योंकि हम फंसे हुए हैं उस बिलीफ सिस्टम में. हमारे पास एनर्जी नहीं है देखने के लिए. ये कोई इंटेंशनल कंस्पिरेसी नहीं है खुद के प्रति. ये एक इनकेपेबिलिटी है, इनएबिलिटी है इन दैट स्टेट ऑफ बीइंग, जो हमारे पास एनर्जी नहीं है देखने के लिए. वो एनर्जी रिलीज हो जाए तो हम सबसे ज्यादा खुशी हमें तभी होगी जब हम देख पाएंगे चीजों को.
मतलब getting out of the flux and then seeing things as it is.
That's the bliss state of being. That's the ultimate harmonious state of being. उसको किसको ना पसंद होगा वो. हम वहां नहीं जा पा रहे हैं क्योंकि हम फंसे हुए हैं. इसको समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. हम मान्यताओं में फंसे हुए हैं, हमारे बिलीफ सिस्टम में हम फंसे हुए हैं. अब बिलीफ कंप्लीटली इमेजिनरी है. Beliefs are the conclusions. Yes.
Anyway, this firewalk example, I have a confession. Actually, I have done the firewalk in one of those personality training programs, and मेरे पैसे भी बर्बाद हो गए मेरे को. अभी ये conclusion of this, मैंने जो उस टाइम में दिए थे वो तो बर्बाद हो ही गए. and the concrete feeling that I had walked the fire, and the learnings from the walking the fire was that what I feared of something, it was all the fire. Walking the fire was a illusion. I mean, fear which was strongly there, and I walked the fire, and I had to overcome that fear, and I did it. What I thought was not doable, I was able to do it, and the elation and the happiness that I felt at that point in time stayed with me, and I was able to use that experience to do certain entrepreneurial ventures at that point in time, about 10, 15 years ago. So
that's how these motivational businesses work, actually.
work.
Yeah. So, yeah, any
पैसे तो गए।
reflection? No,
पैसे
वो
तो
तो
गए।
सर,
कुछ
या
भी
फिर
नहीं। हाँ, श्रेया, प्लीज।
एक्चुअल फायर पे वॉक करने की बात कर रहे हैं क्या? मैं ये अभी थोड़ी कंफ्यूज हो गई।
हाँ, एलेक्स ने किया है, वही बोल रहा था।
अच्छा,
Actual
तो वो
fire-
I've
सब
actually walked the
एग्जांपल
fire.
देंगे?
मोटिवेशनल ट्रेनिंग्स होते हैं, पता है आपको?
ओके, नहीं।
जिसमें कहा जाता है जो आप आग के ऊपर चलोगे तो वो सक्सेस है।
अच्छा,
एनीवन
ओके।
एल्स हैज डन दिस? कोई एक्सपीरियंस है? शेयर करेंगे प्लीज।
But I have seen people doing this.
Yes.
I've never done this.
Nandini unmuted. Nandini did it?
I have done it not on fire, but I've done it on glass, broken glass.
Yeah, quite similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's overcoming the psychological fear about something that you thought perceived was dangerous. So when
On
you
the
do that,
contrary, the fear can never be overcome. If you understand fear, then we see the reality of the fear, that the fear is an imagination, and it drops automatically. So now all these story actually has got a foundation of overcoming fear. Overcoming fear. Fear can never be overcome. It will be there, subtle within you. It may come up at the surface anytime. And that's how the psychological domain works.
Right.
Can I share what I felt afterwards and what I got out of it?
Please.
Was basically, for me, it was symbolic of like whatever limitations I have put on myself, they can be questioned. That was kind of what I got out of it. It was not so much ki arey main glass pe chali, but it actually shifted in my mind that जो हम सोचते हैं कि हम कर सकते हैं, हम नहीं कर सकते, हमें करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए, like all of it is questionable. Because अगर कोई बंदा आग पे चल सकता है या broken glass पे चल सकता है, तो मतलब everything is open. Because for me that door was closed. And it was like it just shifted something in my mind that okay, I don't have to believe, you know, whatever is going on, because all of it is open. Because किसी समय पे आप चल भी सकते हो और किसी समय पे नहीं भी चल सकते हो. I mean, it has to be looked at freshly in every moment. That is kind of what I got out of it.
So otherwise also it's a fact, right? What you have realized, it's otherwise a fact.
Yeah, but I was not available to that fact. You know, I was thinking that जो मैं सोच रही हूँ वही truth है, तो ये मैं नहीं कर सकती और ये मैं कर सकती हूँ. This is the truth. But it rattled my perception of what I thought was possible.
Yeah. So just 1 minute is left for this session, and this is the last session of the morning hour, morning slot. And then we are again joining back at 3, exactly at 3, and continuing our conversation. And Nandini, if you can just reopen this aspect, and we'll just go and inquire together on this further deeper. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you, Kalyan.
Thank you, Kalyan ji.
So we are joining back at 3.
Sir.
Thank you, Kalyan. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.